I had originally planned on doing this video when the new update came out, but I've been busy, so I'm getting to it now. On the screen, we have 3 different examples of how I like to stack. Since my channel was founded with stacking, I figured I would just incorporate all of these into an updated video, showing that they still work after the update. I will also show how they are done, and I'll go into a bit of detail on which ones I prefer more than the other. Obviously, if you're looking at the example number 2 in the middle of the screen, it's going to be the tightest stacking you can get. That's just the best you're going to get. The one on the right, example 3, is great for, cave locations with 1 or 2 entrances from a side where you don't really care if they're all in a straight line. You don't care if they are a bit jagged. You can also get your doors diagonal. I will show that later. Of course, example number 1 is the easiest and by far the most used by people, which is just using gate frames and foundations to get your stacking. So we'll get into this and I will show you how each is done and how easy all of them are, and you can apply these wherever you want. A disclaimer, of course, Funcom is not fun. Use this on official at your own discretion. People still use it. People still ceiling stack and everything. And, you're at the discretion of how Funcom feels that day, since they consider it an exploit, yet their building allows for it to be a thing. I don't know. They haven't addressed the gates. They haven't. It's Funcom. But we're going to get into the video. So I'm going to be using Yamatai for the example. I like the fence foundations. They're extremely small and you'll see why I like to use them. Of course, this way you just need a gate frame, and you don't need to place 3 gate frames unless you are trying to layer gate frames. You just need to get this one in the middle, and that's all there is to it. And if you placed it right, this is why I like using Yamatai, I can see that it is placed right. You can keep the foundations if you want and bring them through it, of course. Now, of course, if you have watched my stacking videos, the reason this method is probably the easiest and fastest is you don't need to continue with foundations and gate frames. You can just easily bring this around and continue your stacking. Very simple, and you can clean up the mess and you can box these in if you want to, but you can just keep repeating that process. You don't have to use foundations unless you want the foundations in there. That's totally up to you, but you can just repeat this process as many times as you want. So very simple, which is why a lot of people use it. Second one, of course, it is more tedious. If you're aware of my content, you will know this is just mathematics and Rust coming together. You're going to take this out 10 times. Once you have it out 10 times, you can just pick these up. The build hammer makes this extremely easy, so there's no reason to really worry. You can also apply this on uneven terrain. So as you can see, with the terrain shifting, if you had to place a foundation higher or lower, you can still do that and still get the same stacking. You can get stacking like this even in places like barracks. After that, you're just going to bring triangle wedges all the way back. And this is why I say it's tedious, and it is a bit time consuming, but it is the best stacking you're going to get if you want them to be as close as possible. And there you go. So just remember, you bring out 10 regular foundations and then bring a wedge back. And then you would just repeat that process here. So you would just bring this foundation out 10 times, delete all of them except the last one, bring the wedges back, and you got your stack. Now this stacking is very similar for example 3. It's very similar to what we're doing, except the only thing you're going to have to do for this is bring out foundations 4 times. You are then going to use wedges to bring them back, and you got your stacking. And that's all there is to it. This stacking, like I said, it's good for a place, maybe gutter or something like that if you wanted that in there, which, I mean, I wouldn't recommend it, but You know, places where you don't care if the stacking is a bit uneven, and then in the long run, if you don't want, you know, all your doors in one single row, can get that. You can't get too intricate with it though, because you do need to have room to get to the next door. But this way, make sure when you place your doors, they open the way so you can actually get through properly. But you can get through all your doors that way. If you try to go over further like this, once you have the stacking up and going, you're not going to be able to. Just because there's not enough gap for the character to get through, because this stacking is tight. As you can see, it is very, it's comparable to example 2, but as you can see, example 2 is going to be the closest one. So, but with this one, you can get doors placed diagonally. You're going to have a hard time getting over to that door if you were to try to go that way. As you can see, you're not going to get there. But if you do keep them diagonal and keep that kind of pathing, you know, you can make your doors zigzag, and that can help during a raid. A lot of people like to do that. That's literally it. That's all the stacking that I still do. I still use. I'm going to use it until Funcom fixes it, because bombs and expo arrows and all this, it's very easy to go through a base. It's not difficult to farm out dragon powder with 4x rates. It's kind of insane that they say that this is a no-no, but they literally, for example 1 is literally the easiest, and the gates, it literally snaps to the gate. So if they wanted to address this, I don't know why they haven't. I'm assuming they can't fix it, because the reason I like Yamatai, like I said, it's small, but if you were to, you know, we'll just look at black ice for an example. If you look at the fence foundation, you can see how much bigger it is. If you look at reinforced stone, you can see. So what they've basically done is given every fence foundation the same area. So where you see these spikes coming out at right here, that's the area, which is why you see that. That's as close as you're going to get it. They do intersect a bit with the spikes. If you were to put these here and then that, you know, you can see they're kind of connecting, but it seems like every fence foundation has the same surface area about it now, regardless of the size. I like using Yamatai and Turan just because it helps when you're stacking. You can actually see it through the foundation. But that's literally it. I thought I would do an updated video of this, of all the 3 methods that I use, all the 3 methods that I have shown before. They still work. Like I said, discretion of using them on official, of course. It's your own discretion. That's it for the video. If you guys do enjoy it or find it helpful, thumbs it up, and I'll see you in the next one.